Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we're going to be doing a special event of ZeroPoint Energy, where there's plenty to talk about, not a lot of energy, and plenty of disagreement, especially today. Today with me, I have my ghost of every... Ghost. God damn it. I have my co-host of every single time, Sean the Bear.
Hi. Rawr.
And we have myself. Also, he's not gay, just making that plain. Jorge, the... You know what? You tell me. You do me.
You have nothing.
The fuck I don't. Fuck you.
The nothingness.
Jorge, the lexicon. There we go.
The laxative?
The lexicon.
The Mexican?
The lexicon, you son of a bitch. Moving on.
Jorge the Mexican.
Lexicon, you son of a bitch. Okay, so tonight's topic, well, multiple topics probably, but at least the first one is humanity overall and the actions we take good or evil?
Yes.
Okay, moving on. So, the next subject is... No, I'm kidding. Seriously, though. Personally, I believe that humanity is just one of many that are going to come along. By that, I mean many different types of smart beings. We know that dolphins are fairly intelligent. We also know that pigs are decently intelligent, and crows are really, really freaking intelligent.
They're just like shiny things, so they're children.
Okay, fine. They're children, but they're still decently smart. Now, personally, I think that the decisions we make today are going to affect the world, and they're also going to affect our brethren in terms of animals. Eventually, I believe that another animal will rise up who will be as smart or smarter than we are. And from there, it'll take over the world just as we did when we're gone. That's assuming we are gone anyways.
True, but, like, is this special super animal going to rise up before or after the dolphins thank us for the fish?
You had to do a hitchhiker reference, really?
Absolutely.
I hate you. Anyways, probably after.
They're the ones who actually own this planet.
Anyways, so, read the books, people. I'm not gonna... So,
that's a good book. Read the book.
My main argument for the purpose and good of humanity would be the Greeks. Shut up. Specifically, mathematics. Every single civilization in the world has some kind of mathematics, usually involving the stars, involving seasons and the like. The Greeks were the first, as far as we know, to have ever actually done mathematics for mathematics' sake. Basically, the first birthing of knowledge, not just birthing of stories, birthing of religion. They discovered pi, they discovered circles, density. Like, the list is on and on.
True, but I know something more perfect than a circle that has existed in nature since before people existed, and therefore before math existed. Spirals. Specifically ones that can be broken down with what was later discovered as math, the Fibonacci sequence.
Okay, there are plenty of things out there that follow the Fibonacci sequence, but there are plenty of things out there in nature that also are math. They have symmetry. What do you call it? Stars, triangles, different building blocks. Hell, there are literally machines, small molecular machines inside of our cells that turn a turbine that's powered by protons, I believe. No, not protons. Charged particles that give energy.
So they turn things like a spiral? Or a cog?
A cog.
Or a circle in ratios of 1, 2, 3, or 4?
Yep.
Like a Fibonacci sequence.
Partially, yeah. I'm using your argument to say...
It's basically, I know we stumbled upon math, but math is a construct.
No, math has always existed.
Figuring out that math is math makes sense, but it doesn't make sense.
You make no sense. What the hell are you talking about?
I'm not supposed to make sense.
Yes, you are.
No, because making sense requires to put forth energy.
Hold on, people. I'm going to press pause while I get him some coffee. Hopefully it'll make sense after that. Hold on.
Well, that defeats the point of the podcast. There's no point and there's no energy. If I have energy, I might make a point.
Okay, then. So you're saying you concede and I win.
Maybe.
You son of a bitch! The one time I actually want to get into an argument with you, and you actually don't put forth effort. You evil bastard!
I mean, okay, so I will accept that math is one of those great things. But, for a long time, everybody did math slightly differently. Like, exactly when did we unify and make math math?
You know you're going to have to provide a little... You want me to provide a definition, or...
Well, like, if one group of people says 2 plus 2 is 5, one group of people says 2 plus 2 is 4, another group says 2 plus 2 is 6, but it could be 4 unless the equinox is happening and then it's 15. Those are all math. Who's right? Which math? When did we make a consensus on math?
If I remember correctly, it was specifically after the Muslim Renaissance, when we started getting a lot of our literature back from them after the Dark Ages.
Okay, so basically when the world discovered zero.
Yeah, that fits. Look, my main point is that Sean's right. He's talking about how we had different systems of math. What do you call it? If I remember correctly, the Babylonians had a base 6 system, and then later on, thanks to the Muslim Renaissance or Islamic Renaissance, I'm sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly, we had base 10. And then base 10 has been our basis since at least, I want to say 600 years?
Something like that. Unless
Maybe a little
you're
more.
American, and then it's freedom fractions.
Okay. I hate you. Okay, yes, freedom fractions. Fractions only in the US. Fractions can be useful. They can, honestly. But at the same time, it's a lot more useful when you have base 10 fractions like we do in the metric system.
True. But, the only time you've ever wanted anything to be imperial is when Americans do math.
Actually, personally, temperature too, because I've tried switching to Celsius. No.
See, Celsius makes sense in a weird context, but not in normal context. Think of it this way. Celsius is when water does a thing. At 0, water freezes. At 100, water boils.
No, wait, it said like 30 something.
No.
Yeah, hold on. I'm pulling this up.
It's 0 to 100.
Hold on. 33 degrees Celsius. Type it again. See? What? God damn it. Okay. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so 33. Let's try 37.
Water boils at 100.
At 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
No.
Yes, at 1 atmosphere.
No.
Yes.
Water boils at like 130 something Fahrenheit.
We are literally looking this up. That's why you're not hearing much. Let's see.
212 Fahrenheit, 100 Celsius.
Okay, fine. I was
like
wrong.
I said, Celsius. That's what
right.
I said. Celsius is the temperature for when water does the thing. 0, it freezes. 100, it boils. And in between is that weird range. Fahrenheit is the temperature when water feels like a thing. At 32, it freezes because it feels cold. At 212, it boils because it feels deadly. And in between is this feels hot. Hot is somewhere between 80 and 100. This feels Hertie. Hertie is anywhere between 100 and 150. This could kill me is somewhere between 150 and 212.
I'll take your word for it.
And then for cold, cold is anything from 50 to 40 in water temperature. So cold it hurts is between 40 and 30. So cold it can kill me is between 20 and 0.
More like 30 and like negative 30.
True, but I'm taking the positive numbers, the 0 to boiling range.
Alright, fine.
So when you use 0 as your lowest number and then the boiling point of water as your high number, that's the dumb way of Fahrenheit is feel. Celsius is do. So whatever temperature at Celsius is, water does a thing. Like water turns to steam at something like 60 or 70 Celsius. And then it starts boiling at 100. Water starts to turn to steam at like 140 some odd Fahrenheit, but it boils at between 205 and 212.
Alright, I was wrong. I will admit
it. It's one of those dumb things about temperature that I actually know.
Fine. Alright.
I know it because I watch too much TikTok.
He also knows bra sizes of a lot of people. Moving on.
I do.
God damn you.
I like boobies.
I was kidding.
It's not my fault. I like boobs.
Everybody does. They're delicious.
They
Chicken
are.
breast, people. Chicken breast. It was a joke.
I mean, the real ones are pretty tasty too.
Somebody has a milk fetish. Moving on.
Hey,
So
it's sweet like almond milk. Fucking, I'd have a fetish for it too. I think most people would.
Moving on. Now, another thing that humanity has done really, really well is specifically discover language and give stories. Now,
have we? Especially language. I mean, true, there's several thousand languages, but then we decided, if we speak them all at once, we can call it English. And then have two different forms of English.
Moving on. So, specifically, language made it possible to actually have thought, at least as far as I can tell from different studies I've seen. Okay, if I'm wrong, go ahead, correct me in the comments. Now, thought made it possible to actually have religion, to try to understand different things, spoken through religion, and then stories. Stories allowed us to become more of ourselves. They allowed us to actually aspire to something, because we have stories explaining everything. Why there's light, why there's dark. Specifically, I can talk about how in Mexico, the Mexica had sacrifices every day to make sure that the sun would come back up. They thought that if they didn't sacrifice someone to the god Huitzilopochtli, they wouldn't be able to get the sun back.
I mean, that makes sense. Personally, I think we should bring that back.
What the hell? Why?
One, decrease the surplus population. Two, we could probably sell that on pay-per-view. Sunrise executions. Hey, we're going to kill these guys or the sun's not going to rise today.
Bruh.
What?
I said it was a religion of the past. That doesn't mean we should keep doing it. You don't even like religion.
We still have Catholics and all they do is fuck little boys. That's a modern one that was a religion of the past.
Okay, that's not true. That's specific people. Moving on.
Specific people. The entire Archdiocese of Australia for 40 years?
Tell me you're lying. Please tell me you're lying about that.
No. That is absolutely true.
Hold on, people. I'm going to press pause while we look this up. Okay, so we're back, and specifically, I looked things up. So, There was a ring of this going on in New South Wales, Australia, and then the Catholic Church quickly washed its hands of its priests when they died or were committed because they were crazy. So specifically, there was a conspiracy, but there was no... How do I say this? There was no specific connection to the entire Archdiocese of Australia.
If you
rather
want to
New
know,
South Wales.
if you want to know details, anyone who's listening to this, Google the Catholic Mafia of Australia, and then you can interpret things from there.
I'm gonna say he was about 50 to 75% right, but we'll go on from there.
Hey, that's more than half. That's a passing grade right there.
I'm not even gonna give that a response. Moving on. So,
I went to public school.
Moving on. Specifically, religion helped humanity become more than itself. Now, the earliest religions were, depending on the region, brutal or selfish, because they modeled specifically what humanity was. Slowly, religion seemed to transcend that and try to be more. Specific examples that have survived to the modern day are Buddhism, certain sects of Hinduism, and specifically Christianity. I can only speak for Catholicism. The religion, not the organization, the religion, the precepts of said religion.
Which are the exact same as Christianity, Judaism, and Muslim?
Thank you, I forgot about that. Judaism as well as Islam.
Which are all the same religion.
They're religions of the book. They're not the same.
They are the exact same. They use the exact same stories for slightly different wording. Usually different names for the same person.
Also different interpretations, okay?
Barely different interpretations.
No, let me give you a specific example, okay? The story of Sodom and Gomorrah with Lot. Now, the Catholic interpretation is you shouldn't be, that this condemns gay people. No. The Jewish interpretation, admittedly only the certain Jewish texts that I've studied, so there may be different ones, say that it doesn't, the wording, the specific, Jewish wording, Hebrew, does not refer to same sex. It refers to, pedophiles. So the Jews do not condemn, certain sects of Judaism do not condemn same-sex marriage or unions. They condemn pedophilia.
Kind of wish that was the Catholic interpretation.
God damn it. Will you just stick to a point? Okay, you know what? No. You know what?
My point will always be that the Catholic religion is full of pedophiles.
You know what? It's your words. Say what you want, but moving on. Specifically, this is an example where they are different. Also, Islam doesn't just have, doesn't just follow the Bible. It has specifically the writings of the Quran, the writings of the Prophet Muhammad, the last prophet, according to them, of God.
Well, yeah, I mean, they all do have their own specific text and their own things that pertain specifically to them. But in the broadest sense, as you follow big picture of what these specific religions are teaching, Christianity, Catholicism, Judaism, Islam, those four are teaching the exact same main tenets, using almost the exact same stories and characters. Names are different to reflect more common biblical names for their specific sects. Some of the places are a little bit different, again, to reflect more of their specific sect and homeland. But the overarching broad vagueness that is religion, those four of the big main religions that have survived, they're all teaching the exact same thing. They're all the exact same religion.
Hinduism is not the same religion.
I did not put Hinduism in that.
You said four. Judaism, Islam, Christianity, and...
Christian and Catholic. Christians and Catholics are different.
We'll agree to disagree on that, but fine.
No, because if I said pedophiles, all Christians were pedophiles, somebody would get on me about, no, that's the Catholics.
Okay, I've showed you proof that literally every single other sect of Christianity, as well as Judaism, also has problems with that.
Because all religions do, especially the culty ones.
I hate you. Moving on.
Oh, and don't get me started on if a priest in one of those religions gets ungodly famous. Because then it's just all kinds of underage shenanigans.
I don't want to know.
Or if you're American, tax dodging. I'm looking at you, Joel Osteen.
If we get sued, I'm just going to point to you.
It's not libel if it's true. It's Bible.
Okay. I'll admit it was funny. That's all. Moving on. Specifically.
I'm going to make t-shirts that say that. It's not libel if it's Bible.
God damn it. Look. Whatever he says are his opinions, not mine or this podcast. That's all I'm going to say. I'm covering my butt, legally speaking. Moving on. All right. Now, besides religion and math, another thing that we have, which is still different, philosophy. Okay? The study of humanity itself and the thoughts. Trying to figure out what the hell our OS is. That's assuming that we actually are like computers. As far as we can tell, we're just pattern recognition.
Yeah, I'll agree on that point.
Okay, now, philosophy has led to a lot of great and a lot of bad things, admittedly. Okay? Religion has led to a lot of bad things too, as has math. Math has been extrapolated into different branches of math, different branches of science to compute said discoveries. That's how we got the atom bomb. That's how we got a lot of different discoveries. We got electricity. We got how did we actually rediscover Roman concrete?
Trial and error, and just finally really, really looking at it under a microscope.
There you go. Trial and error.
Oh,
now,
and somebody was finally took a second to think rationally about, hey, I wonder why there's giant fucking holes in this concrete that's probably the strongest concrete ever made.
It has some holes, not a lot.
No, it has a lot. Some of it is damn near Swiss cheese, and that's because of the giant chunks of limestone that they used to leave in it. Giant in the sense of when you pour and mix concrete, you don't want a lot of aggregate material, but they would leave these really big chunks, again, relative to volume of limestone.
They were anywhere from like 1 to 4 inches.
Like I said, big in relative to volume. When you consider they're making 20-foot tall columns, having a 5-inch sliver of limestone every couple feet. That's small, but when you take in that, when 1 foot of concrete, there's 4 5-inch long slivers of limestone.
By the way, that's 1 to 15 centimeters, I believe.
Something like that.
Around there.
No, people were like, how is this so strong when it has so many holes in it? And then somebody finally thought of the logical reason for it. It's limestone. When it rains, the water permeates the concrete, which softens the limestone, which makes the limestone run down. So when it stops raining, it dries again, hardening the lower parts, therefore reinforcing the entire structure.
Also sealing the holes in the first place.
Sealing the lower holes. So the higher up you go on those columns, the more the holes are just exposed. They're not getting the water anymore because they've run out. Well, they're getting the water, but there's no more limestone in them, which is why, all those freestanding columns are literally only rotting from the top, and the bottoms are immaculate. And that's because gravity is pulling the running limestone slag farther and farther down the column, and then when it dries, the weight is compressing it into solid stone again.
Cool.
It's literally self-reinforcing, self-healing concrete. Now, it will only last as long as there's limestone to run through, but that also means we've technically figured out how to repair all of these old structures. We could literally drill a hole in the top, pump a limestone slurry into it, and let it take care of itself with time and gravity.
And drain.
You don't even need the drainage because the liquid
rain, not drain.
Rain. No, that's what I mean. Just pump a slurry into the top, let it trickle down on its own, and it will reinforce the top, and then we'll get another century or so of the top reinforcing the bottom again.
Okay.
And if somebody just writes this the fuck down, then we'll be able to restore some of these structures, but also have that sense of, we'll have that knowledge on hand for how to keep these structures from deteriorating further and further. It's just, every so often someone needs to do this with the limestone slurry.
Imagine, we could make entire containers of reinforced nuclear waste, and they'll last for centuries.
True. Well, we have a smart idea for that too, but for some reason we decided to stop that project. Salt mines. Yeah, the salt naturally regrows as long as you don't mine all of it out of the caves that you find it in. And you could put a sealed nuclear cask in a salt mine that has been hollowed out mostly. And within 20, 30 years, so much salt crystal will regrow, it will completely encase that cask. So you mine out one chunk of a mine until you can't mine anymore, stick your nuclear waste there, and it will be entombed in this cave forever. And it will do it by itself.
Now, you gotta remember where the hell it is, what's happening to it, and then if ever 10,000, I think it's 10,000 years, comes around, you can dig it up, take it out, and now you have some depleted uranium metal.
Yeah.
Now, besides that...
And in 10,000 years, I can guarantee the A-10 will still be flying, so we're going to need that depleted uranium to put more ammo into the GAU.
God damn you. Okay, another good thing. Humanity made guns. They made weapons in order to protect themselves.
Protect themselves, kill themselves, same thing.
Moving on. Now, I think humanity overall is good. The problem is, we're very, very selfish and kind of stuck in the way we think. For some reason, we're still stuck in the whole, I am me, they are them, we fight. And trying to be preserving of your own self rather than trying to unite. Now, I'm not one of those people who thinks about one entire Earth government type thing. I don't think that's a good idea. I think that we're better off in terms of having our differences and understanding them.
Now, see, I partially believe in a one Earth, one government thing, but I also think we should maintain the same rules for all people, including bringing back the death penalty and lessening the number of crimes lessening the severity of crimes that warrant the death penalty. Because the more people we kill, the less we have to feed.
Okay, that's part of the cycle of humanity, as it were. We go to war in order to lessen the population. We lessen the population. We actually get more male births. It's actually a documented phenomenon in order to replace those who were lost at war. But at the same time, we are prosperous because we have more resources and less people. Yes, the whole Thanos thing.
Yeah, it's almost like if you get rid of the excess population, the rest of humanity survives and thrives. Like, why was there such a technological renaissance after World War II?
I don't
Because
actually.
so many millions of people died, depleting the world's population, that those same sizes of crops that we were growing fed more people. Those people who learned specific skills in the military came back home and they applied those skills to civilian life. The new materials that were found just to get the war effort going and make things better were now able to apply to civilian life. And boom, technology skyrockets at an exponential rate. And now we're at a point where technology is kind of stagnating again. And why is that? Because we're doing everything possible to make people live as long as possible and avoid war and avoid eliminating the excess population. But doing so is technically hurting us.
Okay, I can understand what you're talking about. Now, my main point before was we have plenty of philosophy. We have had plenty of invention. I'm not saying the answer is in the philosophy. I'm not saying that we've already created everything that humanity will do or ever do. What I'm saying is, specifically, we know this is the, well, for the most part, we know that this is the cycle that we have. There's war, there's rebirth, then there's war. There's a saying that is like, great men create peace. Peace
True.
creates weak men. Weak men create war. War creates great men.
I mean, that does make sense.
Now, my main point is, I agree with that saying for the most part because we have gotten weaker. Now, we've advanced a lot. In that advancement, we've gotten weaker in terms of how we actually even wage war. We have machines do it for us now. We don't fight each other. We don't punch, we don't stab, we shoot at each other. It's long range now. We don't actually have to get into the nitty gritty unless we're actually really close to each other. But what if there is actually a better way? If we can control ourselves, not necessarily to the point of like a Methuselah what's it called? Not a Methuselah complex, but like a Methuselah system where we control like the Chinese who can give birth, who can't, because that definitely leads to a lot of issues, like kind of like eugenics. Like, you know what? There's plenty of Mexicans. Let's get more white people, or let's forget about the white people. You know what? The Chinese have a lot of people. Let's get more of those. They're really smart at math or something. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that does make sense in its own right, but like you kind of have to temper though. Like those are great ideas, but you have to temper it with the knowledge of just history in general. And it makes me think of a quote. And some of the people listening to this are going to know exactly where this quote is from. I'll say where it's from afterwards. But the quote is, history is much like an endless waltz. The three beats of war, peace, and revolution will continue on forever. That quote is one of the speeches of Marimea from the Gundam Wing Endless Waltz OVA and movie.
I knew it.
So it's an anime quote, but it does reflect real life. Like, we can go through most of world history and you can see where we have a war, we have peacetime, and then a revolution starts, which leads to war, which leads to peacetime, which leads to a revolution. And the more that cycle happens, it's a self-propagating cycle. It keeps going and going. But technological advancements, philosophical advancements, educational advancements, they all happen because of that cycle.
Okay, I get that, but in the same way that we surpassed being just animals that were hunter gatherers or hunting, okay? We still hunt. We still have to eat. We're still a part of that system, but we're so much more now. In that
True.
same way, I believe that we're, if not on the cusp, we're about to be on the start of another revolution in order to try to overcome this.
And that's what I mean. It's that cycle. A revolution is coming where things will have to change, and that revolution will become a war against those who want change and those who don't want change. And we have to hope that that war ends in peace, where people accept the outcome and move forward until the next revolution.
Okay, so you're not talking about just wars and war killing. You're talking about war in general, as in a revolution. An
Yeah.
entire beat that keeps going on and on.
Yeah, the three beats, they keep going. You have beat one is war. A war happens, and in those wars, people will fight for their ideals, fight for their philosophies, fight for their religions, fight for something. But it's that fight, it's a struggle. It is a war, and then after that war, there's peacetime, and the peacetime is you hope that whoever's ideals won out in the war, that they turn to something prosperous. That you get that expansion, you get that new philosophy that most people understand and work towards. You get the new technologies, you get new religions, things like that. But after a while, that peace will start to stagnate and revolution will happen again because somebody will come up with these new ideas, these new technologies, this new radicalness that is at odds with everything else, that will finally break into a war again.
So right now, currently, we have wokeism, the Me Too movement. We have political correctness. We have polarized Democrats, Republicans. I mean, we're definitely on the cusp of some kind of revolution here. Not to mention the World War III that's probably maybe going to happen.
I would say we're currently in the middle of the revolution against the status quo, the revolution against doing things the old way, the way we've always done it, trying to get rid of the old boys club, as it were. And that is rapidly progressing towards that war of idealisms that we're going to have to fight it out. We're going to have to just come to a decision on these ideals, on these principles, on these political ideologies and philosophies. Like, eventually, it's going to escalate.
I mean, it's not just. I mean, putting it in those terms, I agree. I mean, there's even divides between the sexes. We've got divorce rates up to about 60-70% in the US, 50 to no, I want to say 70 or 80%, if I remember correctly, are specifically instigated or started by women. The divorces, I mean.
Right, but the divorce rate is going higher because you're also getting more and more people who, not just younger generations, but some of the older generations who are starting to understand a different point of view and realizing that the convention of marriage isn't the ideal, and they're fighting against that. So they're just not getting married or they're getting divorced. Because why do you have to do it this way? Why does it have to be how it's always been? Why can't we do it another way?
No, I can actually agree with that. I mean, but specifically, I'm saying that I'm adding to the. God damn it! No, I don't want to use that phrase. Adding to the fire. No. I'm trying to add in addition to not just what we're talking about politically, but like even with the sexes and everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what I mean. It's just another part of that overall revolution of modern society versus. You don't want to say ancient society, old society, but the previous societal norms versus the new modern societal norms.
I mean, okay. Can you tell me something that you currently don't like about current society besides the other podcast we did? We talked about comedy and how, personally, I don't think anything should be sacred. Besides that,
Uh, I mean, I got a list of things. It's
Just give me
again,
one. Let's go one and one.
okay. Let's go childbirth. Pushing people that they should have or they need to have a kid. Like you were failing to properly adult and be a good person as you haven't started a family by X age. Why? Why am I a bad person because I'm almost 40 and I don't have a child? Why am I a bad person because I'm almost 40 and I don't want a child?
No, you know what? I can see that. But and I'm being just devil's advocate here. Like some women specifically, because TikTok, YouTube videos have said like I don't have somebody I can date. I don't have eggs anymore. I'm talking about older women, about like 37. I
Oh,
want to say
well,
40.
yeah, I mean, there's the biological narrative of
Exactly.
after a certain time, it's more and more difficult for women to have children, which is perfectly understandable. But you shouldn't shame them. Like it should stop being acceptable to tell a woman she's failed at being a woman because she hasn't popped a kid out of her vagina.
No, I agree. Definitely. What do you call it? If somebody wants to live that life, then more power to you. But at the same time, like, and I'm being again devil's advocate here. There's women who at the time didn't want to, and then when they get older, they realize they did want to have children, or they end up just adopting, which again is a
True.
beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Or there's go ahead.
Oh, and some of that also falls into the old stigma of you have to get a job, you have to earn so much money. Like there's so many steps you have to produce in life before you can settle down and have a family. The problem is we didn't push along the ability to get good paying careers and affordable housing and all of that. So as these women and even young men put their lives on hold, it's like, oh, I'm not going to have a child until I get a high paying job. And then as soon as they get a high paying job, it's, I'm still not ready for a kid until I own my own house. And then when they own their own house, it's, well, I don't want my own kid until I can afford to make sure they have a good education. And then you save this money, you have this house, you have the job, you have the money for a good lifestyle for you and a family. And now you're in your late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s, early 50s. You're at those ages where, oh, I can't have a kid because I focus so much on my career.
Not just that,
And
but
society made you focus on the career, and then society told you you failed because of that. That's what needs to change. You're not a failure because you're trying to do the good things, to do the right things. It's like society needs to change. We need to make higher paying jobs a norm. The minimum wage needs to go up to be a living wage. If you live someplace where statistically it costs a minimum of $25 an hour to live, to afford food, rent, mortgage, whatever, if it costs a minimum of $24 an hour for a single person to live, then your fucking minimum wage should be $24 an hour, not $8.
no, I agree. I mean, personally, I think it's ridiculous that things haven't gone up parallel. I think it's okay. This is a conspiracy theory, but I think that things have been made that way on purpose to concentrate the wealth, lower the population, and lie to people on purpose to tell them, like, it's too late. You've listened to quote unquote the voice of society. You've done everything we told you to do, got a good career, have a lot of money. Now you're prepared to actually have a family, but it's quote unquote, it might not actually, but it's quote unquote too late.
Yeah.
So everything they told you to do, you did perfectly. You listened, and then you find out it was a lie, and then you're told, you listened to us, you actually didn't do what you were supposed to do. You should have had kids. Or, again, not that you should have kids, but rather society is telling you, you should have had kids, you should have done this. and you shouldn't have listened to us in the first place. You're being lied to, and then you're being put down because of it.
Yeah, and that's part of the current revolution. You have these people who are fighting against that, who are trying to get that to change. The war that revolution is like, even the recent example, the fight for 15. The people who are trying to get that minimum wage up to $15, which, yay, now the minimum wage, especially in the state that we live in here in Illinois, is $15 an hour.
But thanks to COVID and inflation, that is definitely not enough.
Yeah, it's not a living wage. Like, I live comfortably making $15 an hour, but I live comfortably because I share an apartment with my girlfriend who makes almost triple what I do. And, yes, we share expenses, but am I an equal provider? In terms of financially, absolutely fucking not. But I have a skill set that she doesn't have. I'm more well-rounded at cooking. I have more diversity on dishes I can prepare and everything. I can do more physical maintenance. So I have a knowledge base. If we put it in terms of that, the sweat equity that goes into it, we are equal providers. But if you put it only in the financial numbers, which so many people do, society wants to tell you fail if you're not hitting these specific money goals. We are not, and I am a failure.
I mean, okay, and in other ways, and I'm being serious, society-wise, because there are multiple voices of society, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, you're tall, what do you call it? You still got dark hair. I got gray hairs, okay? I'm 5'8".
Yeah.
And I, what do you call it? I'm a fat dude. You are tall. You pull off the fatness fairly well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And when I say society, and I'm sure what you mean when you say society it's the overarching voice, and it's those loudest voices, the ones that get the attention, the ones that demand the attention. So society tells us we fail. And there might be more individuals who agree with my viewpoint, but the loud voice that controls the conversation says I fail.
Okay, now let's going back, instead of just this current time. What do you think was the revolution of our youth, like 20s and our 20s, 2010, 2020, around there? Like early.
I'd say that revolution was the current tech boom.
Right.
It's like that push to having more personal technology, to have that be more affordable. And we got cell phones, we got laptops, we got internet access in almost every home. Like, when I was a kid in the late 80s, all through the 90s, we had that statistic where everybody kept talking about the internet was the future. Things being online and interconnected is the future. It's how we'll make things better. And then, you started seeing these technologies that were purely web-based. And it's like, yeah, but that excludes the bulk of the country, because at that time, it was less than 10% of American homes had any form of internet connectivity, let alone a stable internet connection. And now 90% of society is walking around with some of the fastest internet connectivity possible in their fucking pocket.
I gotcha. I mean,
so that was our revolution and war. It was that technology's never, the revolution, no, the war was the older people saying, no, that technology's never going to take over. Those people who never wanted to learn how to use newer tech, who kept saying, you don't need to know how to use that. That's dumb, that's stupid. You should learn more manual trades and things like that.
No.
And that was our pushback against it. But the piece that came after that did have that huge technological advancement where we all have this tech now. But it also, in a way, set us back, because so many people became tech savvy and more intelligent, air quote, that now we do have a generation of kids who are growing up who are being raised by a generation of kids who never did the physical skills, they never did the trades. So those things, those skill sets are dying out. So yes, as a youth from that time, my group won that war, but now as an elder from that time, I can see we lost that war.
Now, personally, I'd say we lost a lot of those wars. And what I mean by that specifically, we have advanced, but we have also paid a lot for it. Yeah. These cell phones that we have that give us so much ability also spy on us every day. We have documented footage or, folders and information showing the CIA, the FBI. We're being watched and tracked and being monetized every single day.
And part of that is because CEOs and the regulators, the people in control, are that older generation, the people who are fighting against us. And that's what made us lose the war, even though we won the battle. We won the battle to put tech in everybody's home, in everybody's hand. But they won the war because they put shackles on it. We have to pay their prices. We have to use their channels. They get to listen to what we're doing. They get to read what we're writing. And we don't have a say.
Now, remember a few months ago, I was obsessed with LoRaWAN and a bunch of other radio technologies in order to have communication that was independent of the grid?
Yeah.
Now, those were rather, promising technologies. The problem is that they're made for basically farms, flat land. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there are actively people who are innovating and trying to make it so that people can communicate and use these systems on their own. The thing is, most people don't want to learn. Most people don't know this fringe stuff.
Yeah, but like the people who want to learn it are unfortunately people like you and me who are older. So, I say older, but you're in your mid-30s. I'm in my late 30s.
Yeah.
This is new tech that we want to learn, but it's not new tech. It's old tech that we had before the new tech that we're finally understanding. You know what? The elders that came before us were right. The new tech is bad. We need to just make the old tech better.
I mean, there's even kids right now growing up with TikTok and such. Their attention spans are so short.
Yeah, because they can't focus for any amount of time. And, people want to blame ADD, but it's not ADD. These kids do not have ADHD. Not every kid is autistic. Not every kid has a poor attention span because of some medical reason. They have a poor attention span because they're only given entertainment, given information in micro doses. How much can you actually learn in 30 seconds, 60 seconds, a full minute, 3 minutes? TikTok very recently started rolling out 10-minute long videos. So that means the TikTok videos are now hitting a point where they're equal length to a YouTube short.
More like equal length to a YouTube video. They used to be only 10 minutes, remember?
Yeah, but it's getting to that point where somebody is figuring out that, we only have their attention for this much time. They're growing up stupid because they can't focus on anything. So we have to teach them to be able to focus for longer. So we have to make the format longer. So TikTok went from being 30 seconds to being 60 seconds to being
almost 3 minutes
to being 3 minutes to being 6 minutes. Now they're at 10 minutes. that's almost like the history of YouTube. YouTube started at 5 minutes, used up an ungodly amount of bandwidth, so you never recorded a video that was longer than that. Then it went to 10 minutes. Then, like, come on, they made songs about it. 16:25. 16 minutes and 25 seconds was the average attention span of a person for a long time, because that was the average length, the maximum uploadable length of a YouTube video that didn't take 6 hours to fucking upload.
Yeah.
Now we're getting YouTube videos that are 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 70 minutes. I watch YouTube videos on the regular because I like video narratives, video essays, 6-7 hours long for a single video. But even those the YouTube personalities that I watch, they talk about it, they're like, yeah, they don't make any money off of that because the algorithm punishes them for long format. Because people's attention span is so short, because the more popular forms of entertainment are shorter, that they have to compete, so they have to do things, which is why YouTube introduced shorts, where you're making things in 30 seconds, 1 minute, 3-minute bites, up to 10 minutes. You're not going anywhere near that 16 to 20 minute range of the average YouTube video, because people can't focus for more than 10 minutes. We have to get people to learn to sit the fuck still and pay attention for more than 10, 15 minutes at a time. And technically, in a way, that's probably why our channel isn't taking off. It's a kind of Occam's razor thing. Is we want to be popular. We want to take off. It would be amazing if we could monetize this channel and start making even a fucking quarter per video. And like, yay, we're making money.
True.
We don't want to become rich off of this, but it would be nice to be able to monetize this, because this equipment is not cheap. We don't want to make our money back. We just want to make some money. But our average video length is an hour. Some are 45 minutes, some are a little over an hour. This particular one is going to go over an hour because it's already at the hour mark as I'm speaking now, at least in terms of the raw recording. I'm sure I might get it down by a few minutes after editing, but that's the thing. It's like, are we setting ourselves up to fail because we have an attention span of more than 5 minutes? Or is society failing because people are losing their attention span of more than 5 minutes?
I agree, but at the same time, I think it also has to do with the type of media that we're consuming. Like, okay, as a kid, I just like everybody else, I watched, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Street Sharks, Double Dragon, shows like that didn't sometimes had a message, sometimes didn't, but they were also really fun. They had good music,
Yeah.
Now, maybe it's just me as a kid, but as a kid, I always looked for a message, always looked for something to learn from it. Maybe just me, but like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, okay? I learned about teamwork. I learned about trying to fight to be better every day, trying to defeat evil wherever it may be. You know what I mean? And again, maybe that's just me, but at the same time, Double Dragon also taught me about honor, martial arts. Sorry. We're talking, what do you call it? I watched Looney Tunes. I didn't learn how to blow somebody up with dynamite. I learned how to trick somebody. I learned about opera without even fucking knowing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, that's the thing. Like, everyone wants to say things like Rick and Morty are so intelligent. You have to be intelligent to understand it. It's fucking fart jokes. It's the lowest common denominator joke. You don't need to be smart to understand Rick and Morty. Yes, occasionally they use big words in science and or pseudoscience to make it sound more impressive than it is. But at the end of the day, what is Rick Chances other than a burping alcoholic who farts his way to success?
I agree. Hear
Like,
me out.
we
I
had
love.
those examples. Like, a good example of that, the same fucking character, Al Bundy.
Actually, I was gonna say Homer Simpson.
Same thing. First 10 seasons, Homer. Because
I'll give you that.
after season 10, the jump the shark, you know, the show goes downhill because, oh, yeah, we can't just keep relying on the bumbling drunkard who farts and burps his way to success. We need story. We need substance. We need to make it smart. No, you fucking don't. Like, the lowest common denominator is the lowest common denominator for a reason. It's funny because we all think it's funny.
But okay, at the same time, and again, Homer was an idiot, but he was also kind of a hero because he always loved his family. He sacrificed for his family. What do you call it?
Yeah.
When he quit his job and declared bankruptcy and worked his dream job where he wouldn't have to work a lot at the bowling alley. He gave that all up because he knew Marge was pregnant again and he would have to make more money to support his family. He was willing to give up his dream, okay, and go back to a miserable job he absolutely hated so that he could give his daughter and his family better.
I think that's part of the humor, like, because you could relate to that. You could relate to the, I can't do the job I want to do. My dream job, yeah, it doesn't pay well, but I'm happy because being happy doesn't pay the bills. So I have to do this miserable fucking job that I hate every day of my life for no gratitude for a boss that fucking hates me because it pays me enough.
And like you said, it is relatable, but at the same time, not just relatable.
But that's why we see the humor in that show. We relate to that character. And as Homer became less of the bumbling oaf, but with that relatable dead-end job mentality, the more it stopped being funny.
Hold on. I'm portraying him as a hero. You're just portraying him as the everyman. I agree he's the everyman, but
The
he's
everyman
the
is the
hero.
But that's the thing. The everyman is the hero. He was the American dream personified. He worked the job. He provided for his family. His wife didn't work. He was the breadwinner. He was a hero. But he's also the everyman in the soul-crushing despair of societal norm.
But is being the hero of his family enough? Personally, I'd say yes.
For him, it was. He was happy because his family was happy. Despite the fact that he hated going to work every day. Like, that's the thing. You always saw that. You saw how miserable he was to go to work. How miserable he was at work. But then, or right after work, or on his days off, he's so happy to spend time with his family, to be at home.
He had a loving wife, loving kids.
Yeah, because he provided for his family, so he was happy. They had a future built on his misery, but it made him happy to know they had a future.
Now,
that's the relatable everyman, but it's the everyman is a hero.
Now, going back to the idea about how people don't want to get married. They will find their own narrative. That's why I think stories are so important. Like, personally, that's what I wanted. And not because just Homer, but because I wanted to have a wife and kids. I wanted to. Yeah. But nowadays, it doesn't seem possible. Because like I said, divorce and all that jazz, I'm like, if I marry somebody, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get divorced. And I definitely don't want that. My mom got divorced, but that was because my dad was a cheater and an asshole. Yeah. I wouldn't be a cheater and an asshole. You know me. I love... And I probably won't get that opportunity.
Like, that's the thing. That goes back to the 3 beats thing, the war, peace, revolution. We grow up with these narratives. We see them as what we should. Those are societal norms. But then once we become more ingrained in society, we start seeing that that's not the right thing. And we have to make our own decisions. And we have more choice, but at the end, and it's about time that we wrap this up, so I'm going to leave you with the main two choices, even though choices are infinite, but realistically, we have two main choices: follow the societal norm or follow your own path. You can only pick one. And it's simultaneously depressing and happy to know that there's choice, but neither will make you happy, but neither will destroy you. Follow what everyone else does, or pave your own way. Pave a new path for other people.
Now, personally, what I'm going to say is, in that same vein, if we do end up just killing each other, try to make the best choices possible to pave the way for those who come next. Not necessarily our own children, but maybe the next species that will occupy this earth. You know what I mean? The quote you gave kind of reminds me of that story by Harlan Ellison.
Okay.
What's it called? I have no mouth and I must scream.
Oh, I have no mouth and yet I must scream. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And
yeah, that's a great representation of following societal norms or posing your own path. Those are your main choices.
If you read it, not spoiler warning, more like just shock warning, it is really dark, but it is a great story.
It is. Real quick, I will plug another channel that did a really good review and also kind of read a lot of excerpts from it. It's the YouTube channel Wendigoon.
Yes, great dude, great summary.
Yes,
No.
and he fully emphasizes how dark it is, but how relatable it is to your societal choices and things like that. And with that, I think say good night. I think this was interesting and informative. It kind of started as a debate. It turned into an agreement. In a way, I say, this is how we learn. Say your viewpoints. We can have differing minds. In the end, make up your own mind. I don't hate Jorge because he thinks differently than I do. I know he doesn't hate me because I think differently than he do. We're great friends. And it's because we're different. We're not just the same cookie cutter person.
Yeah,
and that's what you should do. Be your own person. Make friends who have different points of view, but let them be your friends. Their opinions are their opinions.
Now, if those opinions threaten your existence, kind of like Nazis and Jews, then definitely get the fuck out of there. Oh. But in all seriousness, what do you call it? In that same vein, I had friends who became Trump supporters, and I cut them off because I thought I might get deported and they would report me for some stupid shit, because that's how afraid I got during Trump's presidency. But in that same way, do your best, make choices, and try to live out your story, whether it be society's or your own. Have a good night.
Bye.